This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. Love it when we get together with a guest like this because you gain insight, you gain passion for what somebody does. And hey, let's be honest, it involves food. So who's not on board for that? He is part of a deli on Long Island, New York, but that's also connected to catering and lots of other things going on there. But fundamentally, it starts with this deli. So we're actually going to start there today with Rich Laurelli, the man behind foodiescafe.com, foodiescafeli.com. How you doing today, Rich?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thanks so much for having me again. Really looking forward to today's conversation.
Likewise. And it's so funny. My brain is now thinking about local food. Coincidence. We do podcasts here around the country, sometimes the world. It just happens to be that we're both on Long Island, New York. You know, we both live there, businesses there and everything. So what am I doing now based on previous conversations? You're big on locally sourced food. So now that's on my radar. Like what's new? What season are we in? What's coming up? You know, planning for strawberries in the summer and all of that. And I know it's different for other parts of the country. But that's a big part of you, supporting the community. And you do that with this deli. Tell us about that.
So the Cold Place Village Deli is located it's kind of like a mixed, it's in a residential area, but there are a lot of businesses in the area surrounding it. And it's very convenient to local highways on Long Island. So it's a very good location. And it's been there for over 30 years. And I took it over about 4 years ago. And because I needed a place where I can kind of tie in all the other things that I do to keep everything moving and expanding. So the Cold Place Village Deli it's a great spot. We do so many different things. And so just for instance, for breakfasts and stuff, we're always making fresh crumb cakes, croissants, apple turnovers, muffins, Danish, pancakes. We do a ton of omelets. And what that part of the business of the deli does is it helps me expand into the catering. So for this particular instance, this morning, we were in 3 different locations serving breakfast 3 different ways to 3 different businesses that were all doing presentations, trying to better themselves.
Wow.
So one of the places that we were in this morning was a piano store. It was one of the local piano shops. So they were bringing in clients and vendors and stuff. So, they were having a meeting and they wanted to have some noshes and some fruit kebabs with some yogurt sauce and stuff. So that was really nice. Another thing was a real estate office also about one town away. They were also doing a presentation to different appraisers. So they were there and the food was great and people really loved it. And then the other thing was, well, we were over in an accounting firm in a big building and we were doing an employee recognition brunch for 65 people. And
Wow.
we're in their break room and we're cooking fresh omelets, flipping omelets to order. And we had crepes and we had pancakes and we had home fries and all that good stuff. So it was really neat. And that doesn't really happen on such a fresh basis like that unless we have the deli there to actually produce all this stuff fresh like that. So it's truly a daily contribution, that it makes to the catering business and to the surrounding businesses in my area.
I had no idea that you did those kinds of things. If somebody needs, some catering, and certainly on the breakfast side, yeah, all right. So yeah, lunch, you know, evening affairs and things like that. I had no idea that's part of what the deli does. Chicken or the egg? Which would have come first, the deli and then the catering side of things, or the other way around?
Well, I mean, ideally, I guess in the perfect world, a lot of people do it from the deli first and then the catering world. But for me, it kind of started with some cafeterias that I had before the deli. And so what I did there was I served breakfast and lunch to different factory workers and executives and do executive dining and things of that nature. But with the pandemic coming in, people didn't really come back to work. So I had to retool. So that's when I went out 4 years ago when I bought the deli to help support my clubs and my restaurants and the different events and different types of catering things that I do.
So the deli is on a regular basis. The other things are at need when somebody needs catering, and you have an affair, a wedding coming up. Do you use the deli as and I mean this in a positive way, testing ground for new dishes, try new things out?
Well, that's exactly really what it is. So everything kind of starts there. So with the private clubs that we have and the different events that we have, there are restaurants that are established in these different places. So, for instance, yesterday morning, I got some great lamb shanks in, and I got some other lamb, some ground lamb in that we're gonna do for shepherd's pies and make some lamb meatballs and serve them with fresh pitas and hummus and tzatziki and stuff like that for one of the lunches. And then we have the shanks that we're gonna be serving for special dinners. And then in these clubs, there's also different unique little clubs from inside. So, for instance, one of the clubs has a shooting club in it. So every Saturday morning, they go out at the end of the pier and they shoot skeet. And then after that, they come into the restaurant and they have lunch. And that's a big deal for them. So
Hmm.
we're doing cassoulet, we're doing pot roast for them, we're doing chicken scarparella, we're doing all good hearty meals and foods for these guys. And they're just loving it.
And these are higher level clubs that we're talking about here.
Absolutely. These are pretty exclusive clubs, and these people eat all over the world.
Yeah.
And I take the same products that these people are eating, and I'm serving them in my deli. So any given day on my steam tables, if we went upstairs right now and looked at the steam table, you would see fresh pastrami, fresh corned beef, fresh roasted turkey breast. There would be London broil. There would be roast beef. And
Mm.
then we have all the selections of the cold cuts and the different things that we make for sandwiches. But we also have a wide selection of imported cheeses and Italian meats that we use also for the different catering packages and the weddings that we're doing all over the place. So it's kind of a home base and a starting ground of where we start distributing, what we need to distribute. In the
Wow.
deli too, it's an old school deli. It's been there for a long time. We make 20 different salads fresh daily.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and we're bringing this stuff all over the place. We're doing 4th of July barbecues on two opposite ends of the island, one for 400 people, one for 300 people. Everybody's getting the same potato salad, macaroni salad, coleslaws, cucumber salads, all that kind of stuff. And we're just shipping it everywhere, and people are really loving it.
I bet you, Rich, that most of the people that walk into that deli have no idea what else is going on. Like that salad they're having, that shank, whatever it is. It's gourmet prepared for all these events, but it's also in the deli. And they're probably thinking, well, this salad's really good today. They have no idea the level of, and not taking anything from away from other delis, but
Right.
this is what's going on there. It sounds like you're making it for an event potentially, and then let's add it to the deli too. We have extra. We'll make some extra, and there is one or five of the salads that are part of the 20 on a daily basis. I've had people have no idea.
No, they really don't. And then, when they come in the morning, especially on Sunday mornings, and the whole front of the store is just packed with muffins, Danish cakes,
Mm.
desserts, things like that. When they see, platters of sliced filet mignons and when they see the fish guy pull up and he's pulling out, 6 bushels of lobsters and cooking 100 lobsters, in the back of there to be shipping them out somewhere else, and the produce trucks that are coming in and just the amount of stuff that's coming out. They know something's happening. They may not know exactly what it is, and we try to do our best to get the word out to them. But they're learning. They're
Mm.
learning, and business is good. It's picking up. It's steady, and people are always asking, what are you doing now? And I actually told them about the podcast, and they're like, "You, what are you out of your mind? It's not, you don't sleep, you're crazy. How do you have time for all this kind of stuff?" But people are interested in what's happening here because
Mm.
we are part of the community and we have such a great staff and we're so well received in the area.
So I'm going to use a cliche question. It applies today. What's cooking? What's
Yeah.
cooking?
So so today we finished all the breakfasts and stuff like that. So that's all behind us. So now we're looking towards the weekend, and we're mapping out what we're going to do for Friday night specials, for the different events that we got going on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. We have the New York restaurant show over in the Javits Center. So we're gonna head over there and we're gonna explore and we're gonna learn and try new things and pack a couple of shopping bags full of ideas, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna dissect it and see where we could bring it for the spring, you know.
So I'm very close to somebody named Tina, and she just texted me before. She's planning out events. Well, we go to things together, and she just sent me something that's going on in Brooklyn, something that's going on in Fort Lauderdale, because we were just down there, just getting away for a weekend, and because she's a foodie, she seeks these things out. So the Javits thing is, it's probably probably didn't mention it, or maybe she didn't know, which is very odd. Um,
Right.
but there is just when you are a foodie, you have this affection for food. There's like an all-consuming passion that comes along with that. I got to believe you started there with a passion for food.
I did, and I always from a young age of, probably about 13, 14, 15 years old, I started washing dishes in Italian restaurants, French restaurants, and, also being pretty much the only American in the kitchen. And I learned to pick up on different techniques and different things from the chefs and learned to communicate a little bit in French, a little bit in Italian. And they always showed me such great respect as being a young kid, that I took that I took the care and concern to try to learn everything. And they always treated me very well. And they always gave me more work because I wanted more work. So I was constantly, doing different things and helping the chefs out. And then, I mentioned in the past, and I'd go home and try it out on my family. So my parents
Hmm.
would take me to different markets and things like that. Or we always had big gardens. Everyone in my family had big gardens, and we would just go about it, and it was great. And it's just good family connections, and I try to keep that going with my family now.
Do you find that when you go to different restaurants that you're looking, I'm not being negative here, but you're looking at things that you would do differently, like, yeah, I wouldn't do that, or I wouldn't serve that with that, just because you're wired, in the food world?
Well, yeah, I do. I do look at everything, and I look for good positive ideas, and I enjoy that. I have some friends that
Hmm.
have amazing restaurants on the island here, and I like to go see them and talk to them, and we talk about different problems that we're having, or we talk about different successes that we're having, and we kind of learn from each other, and we collaborate and try to make each other better. So it's pretty cool, and one of the things that I just started to do fairly recently, is also too is to start taking more note of ingredients. So since I am involved in so many different things, I kind of forget about different things that I wanted to try from time to time. Something I've seen in a magazine, something I've seen in, one of the books, or something by another chef or a restaurant or something. So I enjoy that.
For the catering side of things, are you cooking it in the deli?
It depends on where it is, the time of year, and what's going on. So, for instance, if we're doing an off-premise wedding in, say, someone's backyard, then yes, absolutely. What I'm doing is I'm preparing everything at the deli, but we're actually cooking it
Ah.
on site in the people's backyard. So we don't just bring the food in warmers and let it sit there, before it gets served. We're actually grilling, filet mignons, chickens, we're cooking lobsters, we're cooking all this great food, our cocktail hours, we're doing different hors d'oeuvres that could come right off a grill or right off of one of the convection ovens that we set up out in a person's driveway or backyard area or whatever. So everything is fresh when it comes to a house party. Now, if we're doing something in one of the venues, then a lot of it will get prepped by the deli, or depending on where the majority of the buying is coming from. And then we'll dissect it, and then we'll bring it up to the club, and then everything gets cooked right fresh then and there.
I want to read some of the reviews for the Village Delicatessen. And this one could not be any more genuine. Listen to his language. It is a 5-star review, and this is very recent. And he says, found out about this place from some coworkers. I'm kind of a deli snob. I ordered off the cuff and was very happy. Delicious. Got the cutlet, ham, melted mozz, and honey mustard on a roll. Didn't kill the pockets. I love the way he puts that. And food was great. We'll definitely come back. Like, that is so genuine. And there's somebody else here. And this is legit. And I'm not just saying this because we're here. This is somebody that's done 21 reviews. They're regular. You know, it could go in a bad way. 5-star. My husband and I got sandwiches here for the first time. Sandwiches were superb. Service was even better. This will be our new spot. Isn't it amazing? What does that make you feel like when you hear stuff like that?
It makes me feel very grateful, you know. It does. It's kind of humbling in a sense, you know. I know we work very hard at what we do. The people that are with me now, the team, you know, we're client orientated first, and that starts with me. And we're just good people, you know. When I hire people, you know, I'm not just taking someone off the street. I want to know what their motivation is. I want to know, you know, what they're looking for in their job, you know, how they want to expand their lives, you know, what's important to them, and try to make them happy with it, and try to help them succeed their goals, you know, as well as they can help me succeed my goals. And when people have that certain degree of trust from me as their leader, um, I think that it works out great, and I think it shows in the honesty and service that my people perform.
You find it interesting here in the New York area that we have these things called delis, but when you go to other states, I feel bad for them. They don't have delis. It's something very New York, right?
It is very New York, and I take that very seriously, as you know, as you can tell. And you know, a New York deli and a Long Island deli is just it's so different, you
Mm.
know. I mean, you're not going somewhere out in the Midwest and getting pastrami like we serve, and corned beef like we serve, and you know, fresh turkey like we serve, and things like that. You're not getting 20 different salads being made, and all the different desserts that go with it, and the hospitality behind all of it. It's just a different animal, and I'm really happy to have that.
Mm. Funny we mentioned that, and here's a review. Exactly what I expected when I'm in New York and craving a true delicatessen experience. A BEC with SPK. Go ahead, tell everybody what that is.
Well, you got the bacon, egg, and cheese with salt, pepper, and ketchup.
On a roll,
Yep,
and
on a roll.
and a Joe T peached iced tea perfectly completes my nostalgic trip back to the city every time. Simple, delicious, and classic. There it is. That's New York.
Yeah, that is. And you know, we sell a ton of bacon, egg, and cheeses. I mean, you know, we really do, and we use great product, and I take that into consideration with the amount that we sell, and we buy a better bacon, we buy better eggs, you know, at the rotation of our rolls and everything else involved is just constantly moving. And it's a lot of fun to see the locals come in every morning, and they bust my chops, and we have a nice time, you know, discussing our day and stuff. So it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
True confession. Do not judge, please. Very picky eater as a kid I was. And, you know, pretty much open to anything now. You know, I don't do seafood. You know, I'll do fried calamari. You know, that's about it. Only started eating that about 5 years ago. Eggs. I only started eating them 3 years ago. And I believe it comes from, and everything, your blocks come from your childhood. I love chocolate milkshakes. So I make a chocolate milkshake, and my grandmother would come in, Irish woman with the accent, let me put an egg in that. And she'd throw an egg in and I'm like, ah! So I think that's why I had an aversion to eggs. But oh my gosh, the bacon, egg, and cheese. I love you. I've been missing you all my life. It was like a kid, like a new experience. Now I get them all the time. And when that roll is fresh, soft in the middle, crunchy on the outside, heaven, heaven with that egg in there. And like you said, better quality bacon does make a huge difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it is kind of, warming the soul,
Mm.
as they say. Yeah.
So
It's great.
talking Irish, St. Patrick's Day coming up. If somebody was thinking to do their own cooking, maybe they're having a gathering, but they want to do it right. What's some suggestions you have? Maybe one or two things to remember. Maybe it's the quality of the ingredients makes a big difference. Anything you could share?
Yeah, well, first thing is buy your pickling spice now, because it's going to be off the shelves fairly soon. So you want to get a good quality pickling spice for your corned beefs. You don't really want to boil the corned beefs. You just want to simmer them. So let it take the extra amount of time that it will to cook them completely. And when you pull them out of the water, you let them rest a little bit and trim them warm. So you do want a little bit of fat on there, but you don't want a lot. So just trim them a little bit warm so it's easy and they don't break apart on you.
Mm.
So that's one of the that's one of the tips I think, and make sure that when you're picking your potatoes, they're all nice and round and they're not they're not scuffed. There's no green parts on them, and that's also a good tip.
Isn't it amazing? Fat is where the flavor's at.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. Yeah.
like, like if you're gonna, why would you cut the fat off? A little bit and all of that. And I know some people say, well, it's kind of grizzly, but it tastes so good,
Right.
when it's next to the meat. Um, what do you want people to know when they walk into that deli? Final question here today. What do you want them to be thinking when they walk through the doors?
So this has been mentioned to me a few times, and when people walk into the deli, the aroma of all the different foods and the
Mm.
soups being in the steam tables and all the baking that's being done and all the different things that we're cooking in the back, the fresh stocks. We always start this, we start stocks early in the morning and it's just going through the hoods out the exhaust fans and the neighborhood has that aroma of something's
Mm.
cooking. So when people are walking into the deli, I want them to think, what are they doing now? What is that? Something smells amazing. What is that? You know, and then I want them to just take their time when they're looking around. Just look around, take it all in, ask some questions. Chances are you came in for a cup of coffee, but you're leaving with a fresh baked croissant and a corn muffin. So it's it's pretty good. Plus,
Love
we have
that.
the bagels and all that other stuff. It's
Mm.
pretty wild.
Personal thing. I wish, and this is going back many, 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 many years, oat bran muffins. I always loved them. And then they disappeared. Nobody else likes them. So I'm the only one. And raisin bran muffins. You get a few of those every once in a while. I just wish they would come back, but nobody, if you're not selling them, they're not coming back. So, yeah, I feel they're healthier than other types of muffins, but nothing beats a corn muffin. When you get the right consistency, or a
Mhm.
carrot muffin, or the right blueberry muffins that's fresh. Uh,
Right.
how do we find you? If somebody is in the New York area, wants to learn more about what Foodies offers, whether it's catering, let's say you have an event coming up, could be a retirement. A lot of teachers retiring, a lot of parties going on very soon, and also weddings and all of that. How do we find you?
It's pretty simple. You just go onto the website, which is foodiescafeli.com, and just hit the contact button. And if I don't get back to you, one of my associates will, and we'll talk and we'll find out what's important, and we'll get you rolling on your party.
We'll talk.
We'll talk.
That's weird.
Exactly.
Welcome to New York. Love it. Love it. Rich, thank you so much for today. Your
Thank you,
passion's
Steve.
amazing, and it's always great talking with you. And I'm kind of a foodie, as we all are, and learn so much from you every time we have you here. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Steve. Thank you
You too.
again.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.